Hello, G4FAAM0JCF. You're a 10 over on the FT817 lorry. I've just warmed up the AR88 and I haven't switched over to receive on it yet, but I was going to wait until I had a steady signal, because every time I tried to tune someone in it, you unkey. Back to you. Yeah, G4FAAM0JCF. Yeah, well, the 817 has got a quiet modulation compared to other rigs. The power output is only about 3 watts, lorry. So I'm only putting out 3 watts into the random long wire. So I don't know. I really can't get much more out of it. My homebrew amplifier isn't up to the job of working on top band yet. I'm going to work on that one, because it would be useful to get about 20 watts out. On 10 meters, my homebrew amplifier gives me about 30 watts from this radio, so you know, it works great on 10 meters, but no, it won't work on any other band. It's not a broadband amp, the one that I built for the 817. So anyway, listen, mate, I'm just gonna swap the leads over. I'm gonna get myself ready for the net, and I'll catch up with you in a minute. But at the moment, I've heard both you and Frank, G3WMR, both 5 and 9 plus, so not bad considering it's the top band. But yeah, I'll be using the AT5 on the AM section. Anyway, I know Frank's gone for something to eat, so I'll let you sort yourself out, and I'll get myself sorted out this side, mate. Yeah, cheers, mate. Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, listening for any CRAY Valley members or non-members on the top band net. Yeah, no problem, mate. As I say, got the AR88 all powered up. The RF section most definitely is working, but no audio output. Possible the speaker's blown, possible a speaker wire has come off, but I can't get behind it. I've got I've got that radio to, you know, with its own weight, and on top of that I've got my HRO. On top of that I've got all of the coil packs for the HRO, and then also on the lid of the AR88 I've got the AT5, so there's no way last minute I can move it around. Anyway, we'll see if we can call anyone else. This is M0JCF, Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Fox, calling for the CRAY Valley group, top band net, and all members and non-members welcome. Is anyone would like to join? This is Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Fox listening. CQ, 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 CRAY Valley Top Band Net. CQ, 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 CRAY Valley Top Band Net. This is Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot. Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot putting out a call for the CRAY Valley Top Band Net. Yeah, okay, Frank, got you. G0FDP M0 JCF in company with G4 Foxtrot Alpha Alpha and Frank G3WMR currently eating. But yeah, I got you 5 and 9 plus, Frank. 5 and 9 plus. Back to you. Yeah, no problem, Frank. Well, do you want to give Laurie a call? G4FAA. Do you want to give him a call and just see if you could at least swap reports? I know Laurie's, like you, has also got high noise. I'm lucky. I'm using the FT817, only running about 3 watts output, and at the antenna, probably a little bit less than that because of inefficiencies. So, yeah, give Laurie a call, Frank. Yeah, armchair copy from you and both the Franks. Okay, well, never mind. Frank, yeah, Laurie can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear Laurie. I can pass on a report, but he can't hear you because he's got an S8 to 9 noise floor. I know, Frank, you've got an S8 to 9 noise floor. Now, Frank down in Bexley, G3WMR, I don't know what the story is with your antenna setup. I know you always change it for the top band, but Frank WMR, if you want to give Frank FDP a call and you both swap reports, and then we'll start all over again because I've got everyone's names in all different orders at the moment. G3WMR to take from M0 JCF.
Mark is very clear, but
Yeah, G3WMR M0JCF, absolutely fantastic, Frank. And yeah, we'll do another round in a moment. But Frank, G0FDP, if you'd like to give a report back down to Frank in Bexley, not sure if you heard him and you got your report, he's hearing you. As I say, I'm only using about 3 watts from the 817, and the audio's a little bit quiet according to Laurie on this radio as well, and all sort of compounded by me faffing around last minute, and I've broke something. So over to you, G0FDP, if you want to give a report to Frank or have a quick chat with Frank, and we'll go from there. G4FDP to take from M0JCF. Frank, G3WMR, did you get that from Frank, G0FDP? Yeah, okay. Did you get that, Frank, G0FDP? Frank was getting you sort of marginally, but didn't get everything that you said. So I'd say that you was probably like a 4 and 9 to him, given all the noise that we've all got. Back to you, Frank. Yeah, G0FDP M0JCF. Let's just see if anyone else has joined, although I suspect not, because there's a 80-metre CW contest on. We're in daylight, and other people have either got family matters or business matters to attend to. So I think it's going to be a bit light on the ground. But this is Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Fox in the CRAY Valley top band net call in for any members or non-members. If you want to call in and get in the logbook and get on the video and everything else in between, please call out now. M0JCF listening. Was that Mike 0 Oscar Delta Juliet? Back to you.
That's correct, Mark. It's Mark here, Mike 0 Oscar Delta Juliet, over.
Oh, Mark, yeah, he foxed me then with you not being a 2E0. Absolutely fantastic. 5 and 9 plus, Mark. I don't know if you've been listening. The members that are on at the moment are myself, yourself. We've got Laurie G4 FAA. We've got Frank G0 FDP. We've got Frank G3 WMR. Everyone's struggling with everyone except me. I'm getting, because I'm right bang slap in the middle of everyone, I'm getting everyone 5 and 9 plus. Everyone's audio is okay to me, considering, you know, that we're on top band with compromised antennas and that. I don't know if you was listening from the beginning, Mark. I've been having problems, various radio problems. I'm running the FT817, just 3 watts. I was receiving earlier on the AR88D from World War II. But unfortunately, the audio packed up. I switched it into standby, and when I come out of standby, absolutely no audio, and I can't move anything because the total weight of the AR88 and everything on it is getting on for 200 pounds. So there is absolutely no way I can move things around. The AT5 should be good for AM. Anyway, your report is 5 and 9 plus, and what I'll do is I'll spin you round the various members so you can swap reports. But nice to hear you as an M0 on top band. M0 Oscar Delta Juliet, M0 JCF.
M0 JCF from M0 Oscar Delta Juliet. Yes, I heard a little bit before I came on. I could hear Frank G0 FDP 5 and 9 plus, and I could hear Frank G3 WMR, but probably not, probably 5 and 9. It's got to be 5 and 9 with me, otherwise you disappear into the noise, because I get S9 of noise here. But yeah, so far I've copied everyone, haven't heard Laurie yet. Back to you, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Dave the bass is trying to get in, but he can only hear Frank at the moment. He's mucking about with antennas, so he's struggling at the moment. I don't know if he'll be joining. Hopefully he will, even if he only gives Frank WMR a call. Right, I'll go round the list and see if anyone can hear you, Mark. So first off, Golf 4 Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Can you hear Mark with his shiny new M0 call sign, M0 Oscar Delta Juliet? Over to you, Laurie. Yeah, no problem, Laurie. Okay, Mark, Laurie, G4FAA, not hearing you. He knows you're there, but due to his high noise level, you're just not intelligible to him. So let's knock it round to Frank, G3WMR, just to give Mark, M0, Oscar Delta Juliet a report. If you can hear him, that is, Frank. G3WMR to take for a report for M0ODJ.
Signal, but Laurie's not that many wavelengths away from me on this
Okay, yeah, thanks for that, Frank. And last one then will be G0FDP. G0FDP from M0JCF. Yeah, Frank, can you hear Mark, Mike Zero, Oscar Delta, Juliet? And if so, if you'd like to swap a report with him, if you can hear him, if you could give him a call, please, Frank. G0FDP to take from M0JCF. M0ADJ, M0JCF. Well, absolutely fantastic. One more call, just in case we've got some stragglers. Mike Zero, Juliet, Charlie Foxtrot, calling for anyone who would like to join the CRAY Valley Monthly Top Band Net. Listening? Nothing is heard. Okay then, so what we'll do now, if it's all right with you gents, before we go to AM, it's all been a bit messy tonight, hasn't it? And it's always the way, when there's only a few of us on, it all seems to go sort of sideways and in no particular order, although I've tried to keep some order. But never mind. So I suppose, I know Frank, G3WMR, said on his next over he would tell us what he's been up to. But of course, that all fell flat on its face, because we've been bouncing around reports, etc. But what I'll do is I'll go through the list, and I'll, and get people just to say maybe what they've been doing this week or whatever. It's up to you. You just say whatever you want. Laurie, I'd be interested in any poking around you've done in that KW160. That's what I'll be interested in. And for me, I think I covered most of it on the 2 metre net, but of course most of you weren't on the 2 metre net. But been working mainly sporadic E on 10 and 6 metres. Been quite successful there, all things considered. Conditions that were at sunspot maximum. Conditions for propagation hasn't been brilliant on the higher bands, but the noise from flares, coronal holes and all the rest of it has been quite phenomenal. I think the K yesterday was up to 5. It was really quite horrendous. And I think again today, K was quite high. The sunspot numbers are quite low, just double figures. And the SFI has only been below 120, which is sort of 2022 levels, pardon me. 2022 levels. So, but I've been calling CQ, and I had been operating QRP as well as 30 watts from my homebrew amplifier. What else? So that was the operating really. Got lots of HF radios that I need to work on. I know, I mean, tonight is a point in question, you know. This poor old 817 on top band is, you know, I think it's struggling with all of you. I do need at least another 6 dB out of it to sort of give me an S point, so, you know, for everyone to hear me with clarity, I suppose. So I will be swapping over to the AT5. I'm building now a power supply for my HRO receiver, which hasn't been used since 1959. I know this because the person who gave it to me, his dad was a South African ham. He brought it over to England in 1959. And the reason I know it was never switched on is because the inside of the radio, all the valves had been removed and packed away, and it was stuffed with newspapers, South African newspapers, all dated 1959. So the assumption there is, you know, he bought it over and he never used it. So I'll be looking forward to getting a power supply for that one built. I've got the transformer. Well, in fact, I've got all the components. Just a case of doing it without electrocuting myself. My two TS830s, they both need attention. The TS940S needs attention. The it's the FT101E needs attention. The FT102 needs attention. And then I've also got in for repair somebody's TS430S, which mysteriously puts out 200 watts, which isn't bad for a 100-watt radio, but well, I believe something's going into self-oscillation, etc. And there's like a runaway effect. But all that waffle over with. We'll go through the list then, and as I say, if you just rattle on, then we'll move it to AM. So G4FAA to take from M0JCF with your current news and views. Over to you, Laurie. Yeah, okay, Laurie, G4FAA M0JCF, absolutely fantastic. Okay, well, you know, I think we should ask Guy, G0UKN, about that valve. You know, I had a big stash of valves. That one doesn't ring any bells with me, but I will go through my stash for you to see if I've got that one. That will be no problem, me looking, but don't hold your breath. I think Guy would be our go-to person for that valve if it's the audio valve. Yeah, sorry about that. I sold it to you maybe with no AM audio. It was just, as I say, it was sold to me as working, but sold to me cheap. So I think we get the measure of that one, Laurie. Okay, over to you, Frank, G3, oh no, sorry, it's Frank, G0 FDP, with any news and views you may want to get across tonight. Over to you, Frank.
And I've got saying it on AM shortly, but I'll try it on AM and see how it works. Normally, AM's not too bad for me, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, put it back to you, Mark. M0JCF, G0FDP.
Yeah, G0FDPM0JCF. Well, thanks for that, Frank, and thanks for the update on your antenna and that, just so that people know. I'm using a random 90-foot wire, inverted U shape, with the majority of it over the ground, about 25 feet up. And it's using a 9-to-1 unun. There's no science involved, it's just what I had at the time. Okay, round to you, Frank. I know you said ages and ages ago, sorry about this, you was going to give us some updates. G3 WMR to take from M0 JCF.
M0JCF and the CRAY Valley Net, G3 WMR. Right, yes, everyone readable that time. And I've just taken a sip of water because I need a bit of lubrication. Stand by. Right, yeah. Well, this afternoon I was up in M1AXI, M1AXI's loft. You know that is down in Erith. I was in her loft sorting out a water tank airlock problem, which I resolved by feeding the mains powered electric shower hose into the non-powered bathroom mixer tap shower hose, and that normally clears the airlock, which I did, but there was also a problem with the ball valve being a bit iffy and leaking, dribbling when not shutting off completely, and I modified that by attaching a bit of wire to sort of steer it sideways a bit, so it steered sideways into a position where it didn't drip so much when it was shut. So that was the most recent. But yesterday and the day before, I was down at Folkestone for the Battle of Britain memorial ceremony. There's back in 1995, I went there with my mother, celebrating my father, who was one of the few, and
Yeah, G3 WMRM0 JCF. Yeah, it was a nice touch that. You know, having a bit of red. I mean, they were yellow, very yellow, brown, and they were sort of where they were screwed up. They were that old. It was very difficult to like flatten them out to read stuff. They'd really gone, you know, brittle with age. So I sort of tried to, you know, delicately open it up as much as possible just to see all the old adverts and stuff like that, all the prices in rand and all that old nonsense. So yeah, it was lovely. Anyway, let's hand it round now to Mark M0 Oscar Delta Juliet to give his news and views on his week. But a great story from you, Frank, and I will pick up on that museum that you went to. That does sound absolutely awesome, and I would like to see that many Merlin or Griffin engines all stashed in one place. I sometimes wonder if a lot of these old Merlins have actually come from Shackletons or something like that, you know, when they decommissioned all the Shackletons in the late 80s, early 90s, whenever it was. It would be interesting to know where all those engines had come from, if they were genuine Spitfire engines or if they were just off of decommed Shackletons. Anyway, I'm rambling. M0 ODJ to take from M0 JCF. Yeah, M0ODJ, M0JCF. Yeah, it was a great chat actually, considering the attendance was quite low. I thought, you know, there was a lot of attention given to him, and it was a nice touch him doing those tests at the end. You know, we did the technician test. We missed out the general, and we did the test for the extra. And I think on paper, collectively, we all passed both, didn't we? So that was quite interesting. My claim to fame is I've actually operated out of the USA with Whiskey 4/M0JCF. It was in 2023, and I spoke to Guy, G0UKN, and I could hear Dave M0WDV, but I was too low for him to have a conversation with me. But yeah, I talked to Guy, and I was in the ham radio outlet shop in Winter Springs, Florida. So it was nice to talk from Florida back home, and it sort of ticked a box for the amount of travelling I now do to the USA. I think we covered this on the 2 meter net. I don't know that I would go and get my extra, but you know, it might be fun just to get an American call sign at technician level. I don't know, it's something I've got to think about. Anyway, I think we should go. It's now 1:45. And I think, you know, if we can give it 15 minutes or however long you want on AM. I know, Frank, sometimes at this time of the evening, you abandon the AM because of noise, and generally you've got some work to do. I don't know if that's the case now, I'm just preempting it. But if anyone wants to go on AM, I've got a little bit of switching around the cables to do. Unfortunately, I can't use the AR88. I've switched it on and off multiple times, and I can hear the transformer in the radio humming. The meter is responding to me talking, so I know, you know, the RF stage is alive. There's just absolutely zero audio. As I say, it could be something and nothing, it could be something and everything, but yeah, I need to get everything off the radio before I can even think of moving it to check the speaker connections, let alone get the lid open and maybe swap out the audio valve and that. As I say, yeah, the HRO, Frank, it's the HRO type. Okay, where we got National High Frequency Receiver type HRO, I think it's 5TA1. The badge is a bit dirty, I think that's what it is. But you know, it's all complete. You know, it's as good as it gets for something that old. Was it late 1930s? But I've got all of the coil packs for it. I've got 6 coil packs and a nice pair of period high impedance headphones. I've got plenty of those, but it was nice that this one came with it. And the box that all the coil packs are in, it's all compartmentized. So you know, it's all made for the job, so I'm very, very pleased and very happy. And it was donated to me, so long as I didn't throw it in the bin. So I've got to get it going. So there you go. Anyway, we'll go to AM. I've got to do a few swaps of cables. I'll be using the 817 as a receiver. So if you want to join in, I'll give me a minute and I'll be swapping over. M0JCF, just listening for any final comment before switching to AM. Okay, Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, AM, using the Kodar AT5 tonight. I'm using an ACOS microphone, and as I say, we're on the AT5. So there you go. Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot is on AM. Frank G3WMR, just a point of interest. I was listening earlier at no, we're not. Right, what's going on? Right, can we start again? Stand by. Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot on AM. Sorry about that, chaps. I was talking away and I didn't switch the antenna switch over. You may or may not have heard me, but there you go. It's all fingers and thumbs tonight. So I'll hand it round to Laurie first to see if Laurie's on. G4 Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. This is Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Fox AM on the CRAY Valley top band net. Yeah, Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot. Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, calling for CRAY Valley AM. I did hear Laurie talking. I thought he sounds a bit muffled, and it turns out he was on LSB talking to Frank. I'm assuming Frank's not coming on the net, judging by what he was saying to Laurie. And Laurie apparently had gone off for a cigarette sort of mid-flight, so didn't realise we got on to AM, and consequently would have been talking all over the AM net. So let's hand it round to you, Laurie. Let's see if you're there, Laurie. Golf 4 Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. This is Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Fox listening.
So
Yeah, G4FAA M0JCF returning. Well, Laurie, you're 5 and 8 to me on AM, 5 and 8, and as you say, a little bit off frequency. So consequently, you know, it could be me that's off frequency. I'm putting out standby, standby. Okay, 5 watts carrier, and with my gob, we're seeing about 19 watts. 19 watts. I'm not sure if Frank G3WMR is hearing us on AM, but I could hear him and I could see him on Derby, but only just about S5 on Derby. I'm looking at Derby now, and I'm not convinced I can see myself on Derby. Someone else may like to have a look. But yeah, about 19 watts. I'm using the Kodar AT5. I'm using an ACOS microphone, and I'm just holding it up for my camera, and just so that, oh, it's a little bit out of focus, never mind. But yeah, I'm using the 817 as a receiver. But yeah, you're 5 and 8 to me, Laurie. Back to you, sir. Appears all to be going wrong tonight. I was receiving you, Laurie, on LSB actually. I just realised the radio was on LSB. Laurie, I'm not sure if you heard me. I did hand it back to you. Stand by, Laurie, if you can hear me. Stand by. Let's go round to Frank, G0FDP, just to have confirmation that A, I'm transmitting, and B, I can give you confirmation that you're transmitting. Frank, a G0FDP from M0JCF.
JCF from G0 Foxtrot Delta Power. Yes, you are transmitting on AM, no problem there at all, Mark. I just about, well, not quite sort of heard Laurie, but it sounded like it was sort of in a muffled sort of room, and it didn't sound very brilliant, but I can't give him a signal report because I don't know exactly what sort of signal is giving me, because on AM, before you push, when you push the PTT down, the noise disappears. And if I take the PTT up and off, then the noise comes back up to S9. But now I push the PTT down, it's clear. Even yourself there, Mark, when you speak, the noise level on the 718, it disappears and it's nice and clear. But whilst I'm listening, it's quite noisy. That's the system there. I don't know whether, I presume Mark, that's the other Mark, I'm not quite sure which QJ is. He should be able to hear me because he was the loudest on LSB. That's you, Mark. M0JCF. Over to you, Mark.
Yeah, G0FDP M0JCF. Well, you're 5 and 9 plus to me, probably plus 10, plus 20, Frank. No problem whatsoever. Yeah, Mark, I shouldn't have trouble with. I normally hear Mark. As I say, the reason it probably all goes quiet when I key up the transmit on the AT5 is because I go from sort of 5 watt carrier to 19 watts modulation. So you know, I'm seeing about 40 milliamps as well, just shy of 40 milliamps on the transmitter itself. I will just double check, Frank, to see if Frank G3WMR followed us to AM. So Golf 3 Whiskey Mike Romeo, this is Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox. Are you with us, Frank? If not, I'll go around to the other Mark. Just listening. No, it appears that Frank didn't join us. I didn't think he did. He normally doesn't. That's what I'm going to say on that one. So let's hand it round to Mark. And Mark, with his shiny new call sign on AM top band. I don't know if he's joined us, but let's see how much of a surprise we get, because he's going to wreck, I would have thought, Frank's antenna. M0, Oscar Delta Juliet. This is Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Fox, in the AM portion of the CRAY Valley top band net. Go right. So I'll have what happened? The battery ran out on my camera, so I've had to swap phones and get the other one going. So I'm more of a YouTuber than I'm a ham these days, I'm sure of it. But yeah, let's go back to you again, Mark, just to capture you again and see if you can sort out the audio. So the audio was very quiet. The signal was there, but the audio was very quiet. M0ODJ, M0JCF. Yeah, M0ODJ, M0JCF. Yeah, sorry for the delay when I come back to you, gents. It's because I have to turn the volume down on the 817. I then have to switch the antenna switch and then put the radio in to transmit. And then when I go the other way, I have to be very mindful. The first thing I do is turn the transmitter off. Otherwise, if I turn the antenna switch across, I'll be shoving full 20 watts into the back of the FT817. Anyway, yeah, Mark, yeah, it's definitely, I think, microphone positioning. As you came up nice and strong, and then it might just be the way you're holding the microphone or moving your head, because you know the level is slightly up and down. But no matter, what I'll do is we'll go back to Laurie, see if Laurie's still hearing us, and I'll give him a proper report on AM. As I say, I was listening to him on LSB, and he was very, very clear on LSB. So what we'll do is we'll go around to Laurie, and if Laurie, now you've heard people, if you could just give out some reports. G4 Foxtrot Alpha Alpha from Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox. Yeah, G4 FAA M0JCF. You're performing very, very well there, Laurie, with the AT5. 5 and 9 plus. I say 5 and 9, just 5 and 9 plus. So perfectly readable. Given the distance between us, the antennas we're using and the equipment that we're using, very, very nice. You know, I'm sort of pleased with that on the ground wave. It's a shame that I can't see our signal. Actually, yes, I can see my signal, I believe. Actually, no, there might be a signal above us, just above us on Derby. But yeah, your signal 5 and 9 to 5 and 9 plus, Laurie. Back to you.
Signal processing and noise limiters and automatic noise filters and so on. The
Yeah, Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie Fox returning. Yeah, no, it's sounding really, really good. So I'm very disappointed. My AR-88 packed up tonight. There's something quite magical about using, you know, a World War II era receiver on top band, you know, when you're using a separate transmitter. It's quite disheartening when you have to use the modern FT817 as a receiver. But you know, with these radios, they're there to be used and abused, and then of course they get broken, and then we repair them and we make them work again. Yeah, the old Frog 7, I've had a few of those in the past. I haven't had one recently. I nearly bought one at BDAR's a few months ago, but I ended up buying the TS 830S instead. And I think Chris down in Maidstone bought the Frog instead. But there you go, all fun and games. All right then, Laurie. Well, so I've given you a report of 5 and 9. What I'm going to do now, I'll go round to Frank G0FDP, and if he could give a report to Laurie, and if he could give a report to Mark down in I think he's in Lee. He's in the Lee direction. So, Frank, you're in between us, which is why you get him so strong. So, round to you, Frank, to give reports, please. Golf 0, Foxtrot Delta Papa from Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie Fox in the CRAY Valley Top Band Net.
0 James Smith from G0FDP in the 160 Top Band Net. Now on OM, yep, okay. Well, Laurie, I can't hear him at all from where I am, in my location, but yourself, you're 5 and 9 plus, well, not quite 10, it's, about 5 and 9 plus 10. The other Mark, M0, fingers crossed, ODJ, the other Mark, you say his Q chases down in the Lee area. Well, in actual fact, I'm closer to him than I am to you, Mark. So at least I'm getting a better signal from that Mark down there at Lee. And to me, he's gone from 5 and 9 plus 40 on SSB to 5 and 9 plus 20 on AM, which is no problem at all. His audio is a little bit quieter than it was on sideband, so at least I can hear what he's saying. No problem at all there. I don't well, he probably, to you, Mark, he may want to turn his volume up a bit, but to me, he's no problem. The only thing I've had to do is just adjust the volume on my set to make it so that it's a bit more louder than it was on SSB. But no problem at all there, Mark, down in Lee. Because too much on your bouts in Lee, you can probably give me a better QTHS session on Lee, because I used to live in Lee, in a place called Mickle-Diva Road. Mickle-Diva, some people call it Mickle-Diva Road, but it's in Lee, just off the A Road. Over to, back on to Mark, from GCFP.
Yeah, G0FDPM0JCF, very fascinating, Frank. Yeah, Michael Diva. Do you know what? When I was working for the cable company, Videotron, and I was the white van man, I used to go around all of them roads down there. So yeah, I sort of know them all around there. But when I say know them, I knew them. I've probably forgotten now. That was back in the 90s that I was a white van man driving around the green cabinets. Okay, round to you, Mark. Mike 0, Oscar Delta Juliet, to give various reports to Laurie, to Frank and myself, if you like. Just to reiterate, both me and Laurie are using separates. We're using separate receiver, and we are both using Kodar AT5s, both using about 5 watts carrier. As I say, I'm peaking about 19 watts here on the speech. So round to you, Mark. Mike 0, Oscar Delta Juliet, down there in Lee. This is M0 JCF in the CRAY Valley Top Band Net. Yeah, M0ODJ, M0JSF. Well, thanks for joining, Mark, and thanks for thanks for the thanks. That's all I could say. It all gets a bit silly when us hams say goodbye. Yeah, you're quite right. I've looked over my shoulder. It's now getting on for 9:15. It's not a bad net. It's not one of the best ones I've been on. I think just recently I've had all sorts of problems, and this is what happens when we start using ancient gear. You know, it's everything sort of lashed together, and it all works. I mean, it was all working swimmingly up till about 7 o'clock this evening, even 7:30, and then it all went totally wrong and sideways. And it sort of puts you off your stride, and when that happens, I sort of lose the plot slightly. And we've run the net slightly different tonight, haven't we? Rather than us passing it around in the correct order, we've done it the old net controller way, where everyone has kept on handing it back to me. I think it's worked okay like that. I'm sure when Guy gets back in the chair, he'll run it back the way it should be run, or the way that we normally run it, and it probably flow a bit better as well, because the problem with it coming back to the net controller is it tends to give me too much airtime to flap my jaw. But yeah, okay, Mark, have a great evening, and thanks for joining. It's always a pleasure to hear people on Top End. And once again, just double checking the Derby SDR, and I can see a signal, but it's above us. It was my eyes playing tricks on me. I think it was wishful thinking. Right, I'll hand it round to Laurie for any final comment. Laurie, over to you. G4 Foxtrot Alpha Alpha on his superb AT5 from Mike Zero Juliet Charlie Fox, also on his superb AT5.
Roger, Mark. From Golf 4, Foxtrot Alfalfa. Yeah. Okay. Couple of things. I had an AR-88 years ago, and I remember problems on making the receiver work. It had two switches on the master switch. One, from memory, was marked audio or receive NL noise limiter, and the other one was probably a muting setting for transmit, and it was the contacts on that particular switch that gave me hassle. It took me an awful long time to find it, I remember. Probably about an hour's work. So there we go, it's just a thought. I think that's probably about it. I'm looking forward to the 160. Should be working properly. I've got the power up from 6 watts to 8, thanks to a new PA bottle. But like I say, the modulation, the AM mod is missing. Pretty sure it's the first bottle, the mic amp, which is a 6BR7, which is an oddball one I've not come across before. Looking up the equivalent, there's only a strange equivalent called an SD25 or something. Anyway, I'll look into it. I'm not convinced that the bottle is done. It could well be anode or screen dropping resistors, or even the fact that no audio input to the grid. Anyway, more and on. Many thanks for running the net, Mark, in the face of multiple troubles. I still, on AM or sideband, I couldn't really receive anyone except you and Frank WMR. I knew that the others were there, but I couldn't read it. But like I say, I've mentioned earlier, curiously, the Prog 7 on AM, with its massive 6K2 receive bandwidth, it is a lot better than the 706, which is probably 3KCs and only one sideband. So there's thought the future. The next move, aerial-wise, is I discovered, start again, I discovered that my G5RD, one of the white ornamental hops, has climbed up one leg, and that might partly explain the weird effects I've been getting. Needless to say, it's going to get its throat cut tomorrow. But there we go. In the longer term, I think I might emulate you and go for a long wire as long as I can get. I'm not sure if it's a 9-to-1 or 49-to-1 Harman. And so there's simply 4 top bands. And we'll see if that transforms this station. That'll move PCH. So,
Yeah, G4FAAM0JCF. Well, I say my antenna is totally random, Laurie. It's it's not resonant anywhere, not that I'm aware of. It certainly isn't on 10-12 meters because it's rubbish up there. But I'm pretty sure it's not resonant anywhere. Looking at the measurements. It really is just a random wire. It was a case of get a lot of copper up as I could when I was a shortwave listener. So that's really why I'm using it. Is it's a legacy of me being lazy with a shortwave listener antenna. Old receivers, because that's what they were designed for, to receive. So they were optimized for it. Unlike a transceiver, which is, a jack of all trades. Of course, these old receivers, are designed for just that one particular job. And that's why the AR88 is such a fantastic receiver. It's got so many RF stages, it's unbelievable. I mean, I can normally receive the top band net on like a 3-foot or 6-foot piece of wire. But say not tonight. It's something. Another one that I'm going to have to go and get my head around. Right, I think the final word now, because Frank isn't with us. Frank G3WMR will be, and Mark has already signed off. The last one will be Frank G0FDP. Any final comments, or if you want to ask anything, say anything, or keep the net going? Entirely up to you, Frank. Round to you, G0FDP from M0JCF.
M0JCF from G0FDP. Now, I've got not a lot extra to say offhand, but I had to sit there and listen to quite a lot of noise from Laurie because I didn't hear a word he was saying. Obviously talking about your 2 rigs, which are a bit old-fashioned now, but never mind. My rig's not, well, it's not old-fashioned, I suppose it is, really. I've had it a few years now, the old Icon IC718, what I'm using at the moment. I can use, if I have to, the Icon 706 Mark II G. One of them is what I use for the 2-meter band, and the other one I have got to actually get it sorted out because the actual power output on 2 meters is not as good as it should be. Instead of giving it out, if I was to put it on maximum power 50, I could probably only go about 5 watts out of it. So it needs sorting out, that's the only thing with that. But there we are, that's what I've got here at the moment. I haven't got a lot of rigs like you have. I've only got one 2 for 4 meters, 2 2-meter rigs, and 1 HF rig. That's all I've got here at the moment, and nothing else here. I haven't got enough room to put anything else in like you have. I know where the garage, but the garages are getting full with other things apart from radios and that sort of thing. I have got an HF antenna in the garage, a 3-arm HF antenna for 20 meters. It's only for 20 meters only though. It's just a 1-bander. I got that many years ago when I first started to talk to my wife's cousin in America, WD8IPJ, but he's not with us anymore. But I used to put that antenna up. Nickel lever load, as I said, it's that's what I used to do. Nickel lever load, because it's got a flat roof on that house there. I used to put a section of poles that up and put the antenna on top of the flat roof, which is very ideal because the house is a 3-story house to start with, so I'm already 3 floors up and down, plus the fact FT101, not the D or the E or anything like that, just the standard FT101. And the only problem with that one was the output power on the transmit went on it, and I got it to try to get it sorted out, and the person who tried to sort it out, he made right balls up of it, to put it bluntly, and I have not got it at all. I've lost it altogether. I don't know what he's done with it, but there we are. That was a nice rig. I used to like that little 101, but there we are. That's how it was. Anyway, long enough for me. I'm going to say this is my final one as well. I want to say 73 to you, Mark, and to the other Frank, G3WR Frank, and obviously to M0OGJ down in Lee, and also to Laurie, even though I didn't hear you, Laurie. Only on occasions on SSB I heard you when you come up, enough just to hear what you're saying. I've got the headphones on, which makes it a little bit easier than trying to pick you up without them on. But that's how it was. So I was to say 73 to all that was on the net tonight, and thanks Mark for running the net. Not quite the same as Guy, but at least we run the net. That's the main thing. We're backwards and forwards, you're backwards and forwards, so it doesn't matter. As long as we all let it go, that's the main thing. Because I don't know, as you say, we seem to get more coming in the hot band net when Guy's running it. But there we are. Things are like that. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I should say 73 for you, Mark, and the rest. Thanks for running the net this evening. And I wish my antenna was a little bit better than what it is now. But there we are. That's how it goes. 73, Mark. Thanks for running the net. Back to you.
Yeah, G0FD PM0JCF returning for that final. Yeah, thanks for the kind words, Frank. Yeah, it's a funny old game, this amateur radio. Do you know what? I've just realised a minor faux pas that I made tonight. I could have used the Yaesu FRG 100 receiver that I bought from Chris FDZ sale that Sunday. I bought that receiver. I just noticed it sitting on top. It's staring at me in the face. Rather than using the 817, I could have used Chris's radio, and I could have gone pure receiver. But yeah, I never thought of that one anyway. Okay, well that one's there for another day, and I'll have fun with it next time, I'm sure, if I haven't got the AR88 going. All right, chaps, everyone, thanks very much for joining the net. And yeah, as I say, a little bit convoluted, a little bit round the houses, the way we operated it, but we've got there. All right, then, this is the net being closed down. I will listen in case anyone has any final comments. But Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot, closing down the CRAY Valley, first Monday of the month, top band LSB and AM net. And thanks to any shortwave listeners, if you contact me via QRZ, I do QSL if you would like a QSL card via email only. I don't use bureaus, I don't use the snail mail or anything anymore, but you can get the QSL card via email as a shortwave listener if you'd like. Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie Fox is now clear. This frequency will be clear for use. Frequency will be clear for use.
Switch on what, half an hour or so before it switched to the AM side. So there we go. It's modulating nicely, using standard crystal light. And hopefully you can hear me on your 7700, hello?
Yeah, okay, Laurie. No, I'm using the FRG 100. The FRG 100. It's the one that I bought at Chris G0FDZ sale a few months ago on that Sunday afternoon. And it was just there looking lonely. And so I've just realised it was sitting in front of me this evening. So what I've done is I plugged it all in. Interestingly, the display is showing you, now I couldn't hear you on 905, the display is showing you on 1.915. It's almost like you've shifted up 10 kilohertz. G4 FAA M0 JCF.
Now the bulb in the light back. So it looks like 1912. It looks like control K2's up.
Yeah, sorry, Laurie, just mucking about with controls. Yeah, I've got you nice and clear on 1.912. I don't know why we're all over the place tonight. I don't know. It's all fun and games. As I say, I've used this radio for a little bit of shortwave listening, and I never considered tonight to use it as a receiver on the top band there. Oh, well, there you go. Anyway, I'm receiving you okay. I can hear you. That's all that matters. Look, mate, I'm going to close it down now, and I wish you a very good evening. Good luck with the KW160. And hopefully we'll hear you on the top band net with it next time round. But I'll say good evening for now. Thanks for the test with the FRG 100, FRG 100, not the 7700. This is the FRG 100. But thanks for the test. I look forward to talking to you again very, very soon, I'm sure. G4 FAA M0 JCF. Cheers, mate, and take care.
The light working in the chat now, and it's quite right, it was 1912. Okay, please catch up with you further down the route. Bye.